Action! And welcome back to Hot Ice. Your host for today, Carl, filling in for Rico, is out. We've got Chris Castellani joining us from Detroit. Obviously, my guy, Big Evan, in New York. Chris, what's going on, buddy? How's Detroit?
It's going well, man. It's going well here. Get outside, got my gym in, ready to talk some baseball. Looked up. I think I tweeted yesterday, looking up pitching matchups. That's my morning coffee. Like that's my all right, that's how I get up. That's how I get out of bed in the morning. So I'm ready to roll today, man, for sure.
Okay, hopefully you had some good fucking coffee this morning.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit pre-show. You look crystal clear, HD, fresh, clean. The beard, everything's ready to go. It's a Subway Series day in New York. How we feeling, my man?
We're feeling good. We're I just received the I'll call it less than stellar news that apparently tomorrow we're starting Domingo Armand, which means when they're going with Scherzer. So today means that need to win today. Very important game today at Citi Field. Big one, Subway Series. Always ruckus, always chaos. I feel like it's just whenever the Mets and Yankees get together, just weird shit happens, like weird errors. Always feel like there's a lot of runs. Just even no matter what the pitching matchup is, it's just chaos, just hectic. Just weird shit happens that doesn't normally happen besides when these two teams get together. Very excited.
Yeah. I seriously feel like the All-Star game was yesterday, like the All-Star break was just moments ago. And the Yankees have already run through a doubleheader against the Astros, obviously come back, and now they've got this, now they've got like a massive Subway Series. My Cubbies are red hot, 5 in a row. Chris, I'm curious on your end, any big second half team surge you see so far, early second half?
Blue Jays. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of them. I mean, the Red Sox are just bottoming out. I mean, that series they played, the Sidney Sweeney Curse series, it was unreal. I mean, that is I was amazed last year they made it as far as they did. And this year it seems like they've regressed to the mean. I mean, they're on the verge of being sellers, and they have pieces they can potentially sell away. But beyond that, the Blue Jays, come out of the break. They sweep the Red Sox. I really like their pitching a whole lot. In fact, I think some of the advanced numbers on guys like Gossman show that like he's probably going to get better in the second half. And you look at the way things went for them last year, they had a similar arc where they kind of treaded water in that first half, got red hot, just missed the postseason. Right now with the expanded postseason, they're in line to get in. And they have the farm system, I think, to be able to make a move to really acquire somebody who can make a huge difference in the second half of the season. And they have a pretty lenient schedule coming up. I'm not sure who they're playing in this series, but I know that they got 3 against Detroit at home coming up. I think things are going to open up for them. And while they're not going to catch the Yankees in that division, I think that's going to end up being a 90-plus win team.
Interesting because we literally not too long ago were just talking about the Blue Jays, firing their manager and like them being a kind of dumpster fire. And it just quickly how much that's turned where now it's, Boston at 500 at this point in the season is obviously very disappointing because they've just got so much talent. Speaking of so much talent, a little bit of tease here. I do want to spend some time on it. This could be the series of the year. This to me is, you've got by far in a way, 2 of the best teams. I'd say 2 of the 3 best teams in baseball, 2 of the 4 best teams in baseball, squaring off with the Yankees and the Mets. And as we were joking before, like, don't get them going. I can't imagine the buzz in the office. Like once people start filling in, and I'm sure tonight watching that game is gonna be pretty wild.
Yeah, honestly, we'll call it is the engine that drives the ship of that rivalry and just in this office is Frank the Tank. I have not yet seen him today. I'm looking forward to coming out of Pick Central and maybe do a rant, maybe some t-shirt biting. You never know. It's going to get crazy. Like I said, there's Armand and Scherzer game 2. So, I mean, that's a big concern for Yankees fans, but we're focused on today. Like I said, I haven't gotten to mix it up. I did see Colin Cooper. We didn't get to chop it up a little bit. We'll definitely get some shit talking in probably when I leave this room. On my own, I'll probably stop at his desk and just tell him to go fuck himself.
Yep.
But haven't gotten to see the Mets fans yet today. I haven't gotten to converse with them at all.
We very much endorse that. If you want to talk shit to Colin Cooper, please by all means do that. Also talk shit to Mets fans. I feel are by far and away the best fan base to talk shit to. I think the White Sox are in the top 5 as well because they just take everything so personally. But the Mets have this crazy amalgamation of like delirium and obviously like unbelievably high expectations, the scar tissues from the Yankees in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like they have every little syndrome of like, they're just battered wives. And Mets fans are legitimately some of the most torn and emotionally ruptured people I've ever met in my life.
I agree. They're almost like they're like an abused dog. Like if you poke the dog, he might curl up in a ball in the corner, or he might just bite your head off. You have no idea. It's all over the place. We even said it before about the Mets fans, and even the Office, and I think it's true to kind of Mets fans overall. They're just like a very unique bunch. Like they're all over the place.
Yeah, it's like that at Barstool.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, it's like that at Barstool. Like, no, I like, you have different contingencies of Mets fans. Like, you have like the optimists, you have Clem, and you have KFC, then you have the eternal pessimists. Like Frank, I just wonder though, and I feel like Carl, I'm glad you're here because I think that you went through a similar thing with the Cubs. At what point does that perception change? Does it take one World Series to be like, for the overall mentality of the fan base to kind of shift? Is it multiple championships? Is it a new owner? What do you think it is?
I think it's a dude. You need a dude. So like we had like a lot of people said it was Lester, but it really wasn't until Jake flipped it on in the second half when they were just rocking and rolling, and you were like, oh wait, I think they went 22-6 in August, and you were like, wait, we can beat anybody if he's pitching. Yeah. And then then to win the Pirates wild card game and then go to the NLCS, even though they got handled convincingly in the NLCS. Once they got to the NLCS, that whole offseason was awesome. That was great. Going out and getting Zobrist, getting Hayward, and you're like, wait a second, like this team's actually pretty solid. This team's gonna be really good. And then from right away, they just started super hot. So you never even had a time to like think like maybe this isn't it. But it takes a guy. It takes a guy to completely change where you're like, when that guy's playing, I know all my baggage is gone. And for the Mets, it has to be Max Scherzer. Like when Max Scherzer's on the mound and you're a Mets fan, I know Jacob deGrom is this and that, Hall of Famer, first generation talent, all this stuff. But when Jacob deGrom is out there, like you're conditioned to lose horrifically.
Yeah. Like a lot of 1-0 games. Yeah.
So I think it takes a dude, and going back, if you're thinking it from the Tigers' perspective, who's going to be your guy? Obviously, I don't know. And just like the Yankees have, like they have dudes up and down that lineup, but I say like Judge and Stanton, like those guys perpetuate the Yankee excellence. You've got Rizzo who perpetuates this like veteran salt leadership and stuff like that. I think it's a combination of dudes. The Mets, Scherzer's the dude, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's your game one guy. And I think with the Yankees as well, like if so much of that rides on Cole, I feel like, I don't believe he's pitching in this series, but I feel like the ceiling for the Yankees as a team depends on like, if he's the Cole that they got in 2019 playoffs in Houston, the entire outlook of that team changes because he can be that wild man on the mound throwing 100, striking out 10 over 7. Like I feel like that's a huge part of their success going forward.
Speaking of guys who throw 100, I think it's a good opportunity to get into our dogs of the day. Obviously, hot ice here, guys. We're going to throw you a dog. We're going to throw you a best bet. We're going to circle back with the hit parade. Like we said, Rico is out today. He's in the Dominican scouting international players. For the Mets, I think he's just out there recreational, personal time, just putting together a couple reports for Steve Cohen. Let's go dog of the day. Let's start with our guest, Chris. Chris, what do you got for your dog?
I'm going with a team that has been inconsistent, not just this year, but the last several years, but had a huge win last night after getting swept by your Cubs, Carl. I'm going with the Phillies as underdogs this evening. Last I checked, plus 104 at home against Atlanta. Like I'm a pitching guy, so a majority of my bets are based on the pitching matchups. You have Spencer Strider on the mound for the Braves. Electric stuff. Probably going to be a rookie of the year candidate. But the one thing I've noticed with a lot of young rookie pitchers is that in the second half of the season, they're just not used to that grind of a full 162. And you already saw in his final outing, I believe in the first half of the season, he struggled a little bit. And you have Aaron Nola on the mound for the Phillies, who's quietly having a really good season. 2 starts against Atlanta this year, 2-0 with a 2.94 ERA. But the one big thing I look for when I'm looking at pitching matchups is I want length out of my starters. Like if I feel like it's a spot start, guy's going to go 3-4 innings, bullpen's totally capable of blowing it. Over his last 8 starts, Aaron Nola is averaging 7.5 innings. He's got a 2.25 ERA. I think the Phillies, coming off of what was really a disastrous series to begin the second half against the Cubs, got the big win last night. I think while they're fighting for a playoff spot, you're reaching a point too where you got to play for pride here and try to knock the Braves potentially, out of that first place spot in the National League East. So I like Nola tonight and the Phillies on their money line there.
Love it. Aaron Nola is fourth in baseball in wins above replacement for all started pitchers. Big Ev, what do you got?
So today I'm going with a little deeper one. I'm on the Rangers today. I actually almost went with the Cardinals and then realized quickly after I submitted that I was like, oh shit, Arenado and Goldschmidt are not playing in Toronto. Scratch that. That's why the numbers are up. But I'm going with the Rangers here. They're a team that I talked about before into the All-Star break that I thought they were a team that sneaky could climb their way back into the mix. Maybe not make the playoffs, but I think at least compete for a playoff spot down the second half. They have a lot of talent that's came on later in the season, like Simeon and some of these guys. I think the pitching matchup is not bad considering their price. You got Dunning versus Kirby, who Kirby has been a little bit better. But I think at plus 160 for the Rangers, I do think it's a good number for them. They did kind of just have a weird series with the A's, but I think they bounced back here. Mariners kind of in a tough spot where they're obviously going to All-Star break on that big, 14-game win streak.
Yeah.
Come out kind of a tough series coming out of the All-Star break. But I think it's a good spot for the Rangers here to get a win. Like I said, they're plus 160. I think Dunning's been sneaky, not terrible. So I like them there at plus 160.
Dunning, sneaky, not terrible is the perfect way to describe Dane Dunning.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna take Josiah Gray going back to Los Angeles. He pitched like shit against him earlier in the season, but like this is a guy who's rattled off a couple of nasty starts. This is his first start of the second half. We're looking for dogs. I got this one. I think it's like plus. I don't know. It's like plus 230. I think I have it at. Any opportunity you have with like a young fireballer stuff like this, Mitch White on the other side, I'm not like overly scared of the Dodgers, even though they're so good. They're so good. They're so fucking good. But still, I like Josiah Gray going back to Los Angeles. Maybe he's got a little chip. Maybe you shouldn't have traded me, huh? What about that? All right, best bet. Ev, back to you. What do you like?
All right, so I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier talking Yankees Mets. I just really believe these are crazy games, even though the pitching matchup is pretty solid on both sides. I like the over here, over 8. I just think these games, like there's two really good lineups. I think Montgomery and Walker are guys that probably are due for a little bit of regression, if being totally honest with Montgomery. And I would say the same, Taijuan Walker also has been pretty solid this year as well. But I think these, like I said earlier, these are just games where they just tend to score a lot of runs. Two really good lineups, just chaos happens. I think 8's short for two, or small for two good lineups. So I'm on the Yankees Mets over 8 today.
I love it. I love that pick a lot. Chris, what do you got?
Well, I have a hard time with this one because I don't like to bet on or against my Tigers. Too much emotional attachment. But Mike Clevenger on the mound for the Padres tonight in Comerica against Detroit, I think is a really good bet on the run line. Clevenger, a lot of experience in this ballpark, in this division, pitched a heavy majority of his career in Cleveland. He's 8-2 with a 1.65 ERA against the Tigers in 12 appearances. 11 of those were starts. This Tigers roster is 698 OPS against Clevenger. But beyond that, last night, the Tigers offense, which I have spent the entire season ripping, scored 12 runs. And one of those anomalies they have once every month. But this is an offense that has scored 2 runs or fewer in 46 of 97 games. And they're going up against which is an insane statistic. And they are going up against a pitcher that I've always liked Clevenger. I always found him underrated. Obviously had Tommy John a few years ago, which kind of set him back, but he can spin it. This is a team that chases all the time. And you have for the Tigers, Garrett Hill only making his 4th career start. He hasn't been awful. In fact, in 2 of those starts, he was pretty good. But that eventually the book's going to be out on him. You're going up against a Padres team that I think kind of got embarrassed last night. I mean, Hosmer made an error leading to 5 unearned runs, including an Eric Haas grand slam. Like, I don't see the Tigers repeating that success this evening. I'd like it. I want to see wins no matter what. But at the same time, Clevenger's been so good against Detroit that I lean towards that probably being one of the safer bets of the day.
I love it. I love the analysis.
Thank you.
I love the depth you're willing to bring me on a Tuesday morning. I know we certainly appreciate that here on Hot Ice. Am I wrong, Big F? Come on, man. That's pretty fun. That was pretty electric right there. 46 at 97.
That was tough. Runs. That hurt me. That genuinely hurt me to hear.
I did the math. I'm like, that's a lot of games. That's
almost half. It's almost half.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying. You're essentially saying, like, if you score 2 runs or fewer, I mean, there's exceptions, right? If you score 2 runs or fewer, basically, like, that's a non-competitive offensive game. Like, that's a 95% shot you're not winning that game. To do that in half of your games is staggering. I mean, it's just incredible. Yeah,
it's unacceptable.
Yeah, many things. Yeah.
I'm going to stay in the AL Central Division. I'm going to take the White Sox on the road against the Rockies. Michael Kopech making his first start of the second half. And the situation with the White Sox is they just have not played consistently at all. They got away with a couple against the Guardians. I've done my homework on going to Colorado, and I think Kopech's fastball plays wonderfully. Yep. The pitchers that really struggle in Colorado are the guys that are commanding spin, cutters, sliders, and when they get in there, they have a hard time finding that release point. Kopech's just going to get off the plane, pop, 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 which I think gives him the advantage that Vegas is like thinking is already against him. Like, well, he's going to struggle in Colorado. That I actually do very much like the White Sox here to get hot. And I think that's a good segue into our hit parade because I'm throwing Tim Anderson in the hit parade. Yeah. Very hitterish guy going into Colorado. Like I said, they're 48-48. The time to make a move is now. They got 19 games in a row against mostly cupcakes. So very much like the White Sox tonight as my best bet -115. And I'm lumping Tim Anderson into the hit parade. Chris, I guess you could talk to me a little bit about Rico's pick, Lindor.
Yeah, well, that was Rico's pick, and it would have been mine as well. This is one of the safer bets, I feel like, of the day. Lindor against Jordan. I mean, you just to have Lindor get a hit, I feel like is really safe. But even if he's going up against Montgomery, 5 for 9 in 9 at-bats career against Montgomery with a double and a home run. But once you go further than that, last year, since coming to Queens, he killed the Yankees. I mean, 8 for 21, OPS over 1,500, including that 3 home run game he had on Sunday Night Baseball. Like, I think there's this misconception that Lindor has been this big disappointment or like underachieved since coming to New York. And while he had a bad first half last year, he's going to probably drive in 100 runs this year. Like, he's having a pretty good year. Probably benefited from the juiced ball a couple of years ago, which inflated the power numbers. But as a whole, I mean, he seems to see the Yankees really well. He seems to see Montgomery really well. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get something going tonight.
I love it.
Yeah,
real quick, Ev, I'm sorry. Does it surprise you that the Mets are underdogs tonight at home with Walker on the mound?
I guess no, just because it's small.
Yeah,
like, I'd be surprised if the number was like if the Yankees were laying -150. But I mean, okay. I'm seeing like -120 to get back like +105. So I guess not too great. I mean, I think even with a team as good as the Mets and as great as they've been even at home, the Yankees are just always going to be a little juice. It's kind of it's just the effect of being like one of those like America's team kind of things. Like we're the Cowboys, you're the Yankees, you're Duke. Your line's is kind of always inflated. So I think that's always kind of what I just put it to. Like it's the Yankees. People like the big bats. People like to bet on them.
I think there's a lot of people too that may be like, no, we're definitely betting the Yankees today. They're playing the Mets, and I've been talking shit about the Yankees versus the Mets all season long. Like there's just that extra, and I agree 100%. That's a great point when you bring up Duke and the Cowboys. Like you're always paying just a little bit more. Yeah,
they're always gonna bet because they just know people are just gonna bet on them. A casual person is gonna go up and be like, oh, Yankees only -120. Sure, I'll put some action on that. I just think it's kind of how it goes. I mean, I definitely think we'll see that line flip significantly tomorrow. Like I said, but that's for tomorrow. So I'm for hit parade. Like I said, Chris is already on a guy in this game. I like the over. I think there's going to be runs. I'm on Aaron Judge. It's simple as that. I think there's going to be a lot of runs in this game. He's going to get a lot of at-bats. I think he should do well here. He's also been swinging a really hot stick, so I'm just riding the hot hand here. He's been hitting really, really well coming out of the All-Star break. Average is already up like 10 points, I think, since he's coming out of the All-Star break. So I'm riding the hot hand.
6'7", man. People forget he's 6'7". You know, that's unbelievable. Okay, we're going to the post game here. I just got one note. I went to the Cubs game last night with my buddy, and he's got access to a box through work, and we sat there, and it was a lovely experience to go to Wrigley Field. They've got very nice skyboxes. A great game. It was 2-2 in the bottom of the 8th, and so many people were standing on their feet and cheering for the Cubs in their 19 games under 500. And it kills me. It really does kill me that Tom Ricketts can make all the money that he can, and that all these people were all still going to show up 38,000 strong, clapping, cheering, all this stuff. And it just kills me. I feel so small and powerless, and just like there's nothing I can do but just sit here and take it. And the team won't be competitive at the way that I've come to expect them to be competitive for probably another 3 seasons, if we're being honest. Next year is going to be another dumpster fire. The second year, they're going to try and like that. Oh, maybe they're going to try and do something. The third year is when you're going to see like Pete Crow Armstrong and Owen Cassie and Preciado. And it's just like, I don't know if I have the time, the patience, or anything in between to deal with this bullshit. But Chris, I'm just going to sit here and fucking take it. Ev, you have no idea where I'm coming from because you're an Ohio State Yankee fan fuck. And that's where the only part where I get mad at you is the only time I ever get mad at you. Okay, attaboy. Let's go.
I'm a Knicks fan
and a Giants fan, so I got. Okay. I just remember you.
The Giants been the worst team in the NFL the last 5 years.
Okay, I'm sorry. You know how much I like you.
Yeah, but you got 2 Super Bowls in your lifetime, though.
I didn't know that's fair, but it's here. I always say this to people. I say it on Pick Central all the time. I haven't really got to show like the Giants are my true like number one first love, and since I've worked at Barstool, they have not played in one meaningful game. So as like a content creator here, I have not gotten to display that. And kind of just how I got the job was the Ohio State guy. So I obviously am a huge Ohio State fan. I went there. I'm just a part of the culture. I love it there. But honestly, I'm born and raised New Yorker. Went to my first Giants game before I was even 1 year old. Like, I'm a diehard Giants fan through and through. I just haven't had anything to cheer about, anything positive. Nothing. The only moment I've really had as a Giants fan was me borderline crying when they drafted Daniel Jones that went viral. That's really it.
Yeah,
I'm hoping this is the year I finally get proved wrong, and he actually is decent. But I will not continue. This is a baseball show.
Yeah. It's like me with the Tigers, where it's like you're waiting for. And we talked about this when I was on Redline, Carl, where it's like you are at the mercy of the team you root for sometimes. Like what content can you get out of a team that's giving you nothing, like or in continually losing games? Yeah, I mean the point you just brought up, Carl. I think that is such a huge issue that doesn't get talked about enough in baseball. I think it's one of the biggest problems are owners who are apathetic about the teams that they own. Like, can you imagine how cool it would be if we had Tom Ricketts money and like owned a baseball team, like and had the ability to spend the way that like Steve Cohen does or the way that like the Dodgers do? I think that's a huge problem when you as a fan are like, why should I care when the guy who literally runs the entire team is completely apathetic about the entire thing? Right. We've been experiencing that with the Tigers. Like, but before he died, like Mike Ilitch was just hell-bent on, I'm going to go out and get Prince Fielder. I'm going to get Torrey Hunter. I'm going to trade for Max Scherzer. Like I will literally die trying to win a World Series. That's so much fun. And that's an issue I feel like you don't deal with in other sports. Like there's bad owners in football and basketball, obviously, but I think very few are like, it's more so just incompetence as opposed to just, I just don't know if they care. That's so lame that people have to deal with that in baseball. Yeah.
America's pastime too. I made this great revelation. I was going through a program from 1971 and I was looking at the concession prices for a Cubs game and like, no wonder it's America's pastime. No wonder this is the most popular sport in American history. Did you know you could go to a game and just buy a pack of smokes and beers are like 30 cents? You just get loaded for like $4. Just go. I mean, like, you want to talk about all-time great, like, social event. Going to a baseball game in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s and just like indulging in all these vices had to be awesome.
How dope would it be if for one night a year they brought that back? One night a year, full-on cigarettes, 30-cent beers, 15-cent hot dogs. Just one. Yeah, it probably wouldn't end well, but it would be so cool.
If they did that in Yankee Stadium, the Bronx would set on fire. Not like a single building, exactly. The entire borough of the Bronx would just be in flames.
I'm all for it. Let's bring it back. Rico, enjoy your trip to and from the Dominican. We'll talk soon. Chris, thanks so much for jumping on, guys. This is Hot Ice. Subscribe to all our stuff. The Hit Parade's going to be out. You guys want the Hit Parade? The Hit Parade is very hot, guys. It's very hot.
Plus money this year.
Okay.
Plus money.
Until next time, we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys Thursday morning.